Good evening. Good evening. You are welcome to this amazing evening where we are going to just settle in our houses, on our sofas, relaxed, as we are going to tackle an amazing topic. So, we are on an amazing day, amazing evening for love sessions. The love sessions, they just my heartbeat. In that, this is just something that I love to talk about because companies have, fallen down, relationships have been destroyed because of people not knowing how to go about love, the issue of love, be it in the marketplace, in the home. The issue of love has been something that needs to really be addressed, because if that part of someone's life is not really happening and somebody doesn't know how to love, doesn't know how to receive love, so many things get to go wrong. So here we are tonight. I'm just waiting for my guest to join, and we are going to have a blast. So if you are in the room, please show me some love. Show me some love. I want you to go into the chat and just give me some emoji, hearts, emoji, love, and just signs to show that today we are going to have this amazing conversation on issues to do with love. Yeah, I see my guest is in the house. We are going to have an amazing time. So I am going to be introducing my special guest. But for now, I just want to see those emojis. Let's go. Show me some hearts, show me some love. Let me see how you are feeling this evening. What is going on? How was your day? What is happening to you? I know that the day for some of you has been busy. Some of you are in traffic. Some of you have arrived and your children are all over you. But hey, we've learned to multitask. We've also learned to ensure that this virtual space we are able to still interact. My guest is in another room, I'm in another room, but here we are together. We are going to have a blast. So let me see those hearts. Let me see those hearts. You need to show us some love, and you need to warm up and get your mind to a place where you are going to receive, because sometimes, because of probably the things that you have gone through, even what we'll be talking about, unknowingly your mind can actually just reject that information, because you got what we call strongholds, where when something comes and something is speaking, yes, I can see now, I can see those hearts, I see them. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so just open your heart. Open your heart. Today, we are just going to enter through into your heart and just break some things. Some of you, we are going to just mess up a little bit with your heart, because you've got to open your heart and accept to love again. And my guest today is an expert when it comes to different, parts of life. Like, she's gone through different seasons of her life, and therefore she's coming as a full package. If you're a single woman, she's been single. If you're a married woman, she's been married before. If you are a mother, she's here to talk to you. If you have now lost your husband, whether by death or he has run away, she's an expert. So we are going to have a blast. Thank you so much for showing up, all of you who have showed up this evening. Without further ado, please put your virtual hands together as we welcome this amazing sister of mine, Pastor Gladys Paswani. Come on, put on those virtual hands, and I just want to see you clapping for her as she takes the stage. Welcome. Today you're wearing different capes, I don't know. At some point, I just want to call you Gladys, because we are
Go
going to
ahead.
be addressing some single ladies. So you're
Go ahead.
welcome, Pastor Gladys. Thank you. Thank you so much. So over to you. Who is Gladys? I just want people want to know you. Who is this Gladys we are talking about today as our guest speaker?
Great. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. And because you and I have an overdue date, I'm kind of feeling like we also have this. And I think it's going to be great for our audience today because sometimes when I'm speaking with you, I wish we had a microphone, I wish we had a camera, because I want our conversation to extend, to many other ears. So I'm really excited about this. And yes, I know it sounds very, I'm always defining myself as a child of God because I want to find, the blueprint for how I do certain things. So I'm a late bloomer in my professional life. I had the privilege to raise my children as a young mom at 21. Just turning 22, I had my first son and got to be a full-time mom. And then, went into my professional life later on. And I think that I had to be at a place where I remembered that there's a way that I could do this professional work as a child of God. And it didn't look like saying hallelujah in the corridors and asking people to join hands and pray. It looked like excellence, it looked like courage, it looked like, going out there as a problem solver, as a light into every space where I'm at. I think so. I am a behavioral change expert, leadership. I work in, particularly in this season of my life, working where health burdens are showing up as a result of behavioral challenges. I also run a mentorship program, Set Apart International, where our mandate really is to help young people discover and develop their God-given potential. I'm lead pastor of Anointed Life Ministries. I spent many years as Amai Busa, really occupying my space well, minding my own business, and this whole bishop decides to go to be with the Lord, and really left me in that space. But such an honor to be able to pastor my church family. I'm a mom to my amazing children, and I have a feeling I probably forgot something else, but really seeking to do purpose in every space that I have the privilege to do so. And I guess we'll spend the rest of the hour getting to know each other better.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a powerful CV out there. That's a powerful CV out there. So before we delve deep, we have single ladies listening to us right now. I would like us, I think, to start from there to really just talk about your single life. Is it possible to keep yourself pure when you're single? Is it possible to still just wait on God as a young woman? And yeah, biological clock is ticking. And I
Yeah.
have girls here who are 36 years old, faithful, for the Lord, serving the Lord powerfully. They have kept themselves, they are not playful, and marriage is not just coming by. Can you
Yeah.
address these ladies? What should they do? Should they go out and propose?
Um, so, Doc, you said a number of things, and hopefully we can tackle, like this topic at a very broad scale. So, the single life. My story in the single life really is that, like I said to you, got married very, very young, and then came into the single life in my mid 40s when my husband passed on. And I think that I want to really just say that there are some difficulties in being in this space. And I think whether you have been in married before and now you're single, or never been married and now you're single, I think the reality of it is really that as your life progresses, and you go through certain life transition, your body, your mind, your will, your emotion, your entire soul comes into a space where there's a preparedness for companionship, where there's a preparedness for a level of intimacy, right? Even your body now is ready to conceive. And so, I mean, we're not going so much into the biological space, but I just wanted to emphasize the fact that there is a readiness. So it's not that you're desperate. It's not that you're imagining it. Everything about you is saying, I am set to go. But there is this dynamic where, you can't go and you can't marry yourself. You can't like force somebody to marry you. And I think particularly as women, we have to grapple over these like boundaries around what it looks like to make ourselves present, visible, and available. What does that really look like? And perhaps, it can form part of our conversation now or as we progress. But let me just park that one for a little bit. And I want to go to the issue of intimacy, because like because Doc asked, can you keep yourself pure? And I want to touch on that, and then we'll go back to the path that we're on. Now, interestingly, I think that for me, because it's been 5 years since my husband passed, and I think that I spent a lot of time just trying to survive, right? I just trying to pick myself up, get things back in order. So it was really the last thing on my mind, intimacy and all of that. And I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, how do I even check? Like, is this body still functioning? Because I would be around other women who would be telling me that, look, I'm struggling here, my body, and all of that. So there is something I learned about consuming yourself with purpose that can bring about a distraction rather. And I want to really say this because of the fact that the feelings and your body's natural response is going to be natural. So I started to learn about some of these distractions, right? So fast forward, I move into the space now where everything that was keeping me busy was starting to settle, and I started to experience a little bit more relaxation, recreation, and then boom, it hits me. I'm actually alone. There is nobody calling me babe. There's nobody telling me all these sweet, affectionate words. And then, wait a minute, what's happening to my body at certain times of the month? So I'm very big on being a learner of life. And I want to encourage you to allow yourself to go into this diagnostic space when it comes to your individual life. Like, you really want to be able to step back and say, what's really going on with me? Because as children of God, I feel like we go to two different extremes. It's either, we're experiencing something and then we just pretend we're not experiencing it. And we just declare by faith, I'm not feeling this, but you are feeling it. You are feeling it. And then the other extreme is just to give into it, right? But I'm saying, what if you stepped back and kind of said to yourself, okay, something is really happening to me here. What could it be? So some of the things I started to realize is, you will know that when your body goes through the ovulation stage, right, it's preparing for conception. And God made our bodies in a way that, they get ready, like, and they are open, to a level of intimacy for conception. So now these were the times where I was intentional about what I did. Maybe you see Pastor Gladys doing 101 things. I was trying to keep myself busy and distracted because I knew that, look, my body is going to start all sorts of things. I still like, I'm a lover of love, right? So I always would watch these romantic movies and stuff like that. At some point, I just, what, this thing is just turning off switches that don't need to be turned on, things that triggers that I really don't recognize. I had to kind of like reframe my life that way. But so healthy distractions, understanding your body, and let me say, and then I'm going to pause for a little bit, because purpose is like your highest source of fulfillment. Right? So find your purpose. I promise you. Because I always say to people, you can buy the latest car, you can go on vacation, you can those things, you back from the vacation feeling frustrated and angry, right? But purpose is that one thing that When you find it, it gives you a level of satisfaction. By no means am I saying serve purpose and forget about marriage, forget about relationship. I'm saying in the period of waiting, you're going to have to learn how to survive the waiting period and make sure that as the season comes to an end, because it will come to an end, it must find you having served your purpose so well that even your perspective concerning relationship, your perspective concerning
mm,
in
mm.
your life is so different from what it was before purpose, before this level of self mastery, being able to level of control over yourself. Let me just stop there for a little bit, Doc. I feel like
All right, thank you so much. I think at some point we almost lost you, um, because I think your internet was a little shaky. But we have gotten the points that you were trying to bring out. I think what you've emphasized and what I've picked from what you've said is how that when when you are in that space, you've got to make some very, very drastic decisions in order for
yes,
you to actually get hold of this particular season you are in, because you cannot
right,
define and you cannot actually get to tell yourself that this season will end this time, because you're not the one
mm-hmm,
who's proposing. And therefore,
mm-hmm,
if you are pursuing, that doesn't mean as you're pursuing purpose, it doesn't mean
mm-hmm,
that you forget that you are actually a lady and you need somebody to tell you hello. You shouldn't
yeah,
just be so consumed in that
mm-hmm,
space of just pursuing purpose, but you still have to have
mm-hmm,
some availability and so on and so forth. Wow, that is so amazing. So we are going to still
mm-hmm,
move. I know there is a lot more that you'd like to
yes,
speak to this single lady. But for the sake of moving, we will revisit, the single woman. We will revisit, I think, at some point. For now, I want us to also now deal with something, because I collected questions that the audience has already asked. And please, if you can
okay,
also just check your internet, and because it's breaking, so your voice must be a little louder to compensate. And then maybe if at some point we see that it's cracky, we may go off video to just maximize our voices, because what we want is for the people to listen to what we are talking. Okay,
okay,
so there was a question from the audience. How can I truly heal and embrace a new chapter in life after the heart-wrenching loss of a husband or a broken relationship? How can I truly
mm,
heal?
yeah, okay, great question. Um, when it comes to the loss of a spouse, whether that loss is as a result of death, divorce, any kind of separation, what you've got to understand is that what is actually happening there is like it's beyond two people saying, you know what, I'm tired of this, I'll pack my bags or you pack your bags, let's go our separate ways. That's what's happening at a physical level. But at a spiritual level, there's actually a separating that is taking place. Because remember that the Bible
Mm,
says, and the two became one flesh, right? So God creates man and woman, and they become one flesh. And so it's this why we call it a one flesh covenant. So one flesh doesn't mean two people holding hands. One flesh is one arm, so you can't separate the arm without any kind of tearing away. And now I know, having said that, it sounds like I'm giving a picture of doom and gloom. But I've always felt like, you know what, ladies, let's not be afraid to confront how things are so that we are able to take the right action, right? So you can pretend that your hand is not broken, or you can actually go and get the intervention that is required for broken hands.
mm,
Okay,
mm, mm,
so you
mm,
understand that it's not going to feel nice. You understand that the
mm,
intense pain, and I think, Doc, from what you read, she said something about heart wrenching. There was like a
mhm,
deep description of like what that separation looks like, whether,
mm,
like I said, under whatever circumstances, right? So it is heart wrenching. So when
mm,
you're talking about how to truly heal, believe that you must go through the process. Healing is always a process. It begins with a need for intensive care. So when you've been hurt, there's a place where you are in anguish and you need to know what to do in a state of anguish, right? This is an entire program and process. So I'm not even going to attempt to break it down here, but I want you to think about somebody who is in the intensive care. As long as this person is in the intensive care, they are saying, this is not the time to do physiotherapy yet. This is not the time for you to wear your nice hospital clothes, even, and take a walk in the hospital gardens. We need to connect you to a life source. We need to keep you. We need to help you to breathe. And what does that look like? It looks like, you know what? Don't go out there and start doing things you're not ready for. Pick your battles. Understand that in the place of intense pain, for example, you're going to, you don't have as much strength. So preserve your strength on getting better. Okay.
Wow.
And then I think that as you progress forward, you are now, like I said to you earlier on, be a learner of life. My late husband used to say, if you don't learn life, life will always teach you a lesson. You don't want to be that person who never moves on because, hey, this man taught me a lesson. Oh, I've learned my lesson. No. Don't let life teach you lessons. Rather, learn life. So now you're saying to yourself, okay,
powerful.
It's death, it's divorce, it's separation. What do I need to do? How do I find recovery, right? And so now you begin to learn, what recovery looks like. Are you getting counseling? Are you seeing a therapist? Are you getting prayer? Are you sitting there? I remember like when my husband passed on, one of the things I was like, no, God, how could you? And it's something I always share that, it was me being in that place where I wanted to learn what was going on with me because I could not afford to question God's goodness, is where I started to understand that, people will die. Part of the promise is that Jesus Christ says, I'm going to prepare a place for you. As harsh as that may sound, I want you to know that it is a harsh reality. People will die, right? And another harsh reality is that sometimes a person will disappoint you. Sometimes people will choose not to put in the work into a relationship. You now have to be taught and equipped to now know what to do. I'm sure for those of you who are mentored, coached by Dr. Nellie, there probably a time she had to sit down with you, and it seemed like, okay, she's talking sense into you because all she was trying to do is to say, we can't afford you to only feel what you feel. So what you feel is important. It needs its own attention, but there's also what must be done, And then as you move forward, you allow yourself as a woman to be able to say, I'm never going to be in any situation of loss and come out empty-handed. Did you ladies hear me? You are not allowed to ever come out of any situation empty-handed. Whether you have lost someone as a result of death, you need to be able to, okay, what does this mean? For me, I'm now doing grief recovery programs where I'm able to train even the judiciary. I didn't come out empty-handed because it's enough that you've lost. Why are you also losing hope? Why are you also losing, trust? Why are you also losing? It's enough you've lost a relationship, So pick yourself up. And I don't want you to do this at the surface of, I'm going to try and prove to them. It's not about a face. It's not about a new wardrobe. If in here you are still sitting with so much brokenness. So please, what I will say to you is healing is possible. But let me also say to you that when you are thinking about healing, how are you really picturing healing? Because healing doesn't look like you are back to how you were before the heartbreak, before the loss, before the breakup. It's not about saying, oh, I'm just as happy as I was, or life is back to how it is. You have to understand that with intense loss, your life doesn't go back to how it was, but you learn to live differently. No pun intended. you can redesign your life, right?
Mm, mm,
So
mm,
you
mm,
learn to live differently.
mm.
Okay? Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I've picked
Mhm.
something that you've said so many things. You are already broken. A lot
Mm,
has happened to you. You
mhm.
can't kid yourself twice.
No,
You
you can't
have
do
to pick
it.
up the pieces, get
Mm,
the lessons, begin to teach others.
mm,
Acceptance that you have gone through this. And because you have gone through this, you've got to admit that you are in pain. You
right.
can't pretend that you are in pain. You have to admit that you are in pain. And the
Mm,
example that you've given with what you have picked up that you're doing practically, that this is not about Google. You didn't Google on how to live such a life. You are
mm,
living it.
right.
You are living it. And therefore, you are such an example. That is just so amazing. There's another question. This one is coming from, I think, a single lady. She says that what's the best way to support a boyfriend who's always stressed, but won't open up about what's going on in his mind?
Doc, you sure you don't want to answer that one? um, so I'm just going to put in my thoughts, but I'm also I love to hear Doc's insights as well. But I would say that when you meet someone, you're always going to meet someone at some point of their growth journey,
Mhm,
at some point of their healing journey. So it's possible that you might meet this guy um, when he's still developing in areas that maybe you have mastered. But in the meantime, you might also be growing in other areas that he has already mastered. So I think that first of all, if you are with this person, I'm hoping that you have put the fundamentals are in place, right? You're with a good
mhm,
man who for some reason there is this gap in his life. There is something he just doesn't know, because what people don't know, they just don't know. And I always feel like, when it's, people, of course, people will say, oh, don't marry potential. I've heard that a lot. Maybe that's like a topic, or a statement that we can interrogate, because I want to
mm,
say to you, if every woman always needs a seed and then she will
mm,
produce. You must
mm,
be able, ladies, to recognize raw materials. I remember one time, the time when Obama was president, and you remember, like, it was a big hype, for the African communities around the world, because it was like, wow. And then at some point they profiled his ex-girlfriend. And some people were like, oh man, this woman must be regretting because she would have been first lady. And I said,
mm.
well, Obama might not have been president, because you
Wow.
don't know what a man can be with the right woman in his hands. So I want to say
Come
to
on.
you, this man who is stressed,
Mm,
you,
mm,
you know what? Because as women, we are created in the nature. Okay, so we are created, man and woman, created in the likeness and image of God. But when it comes to
wow. I think we've lost our speaker. Um, Please, Pastor Gladys, when you are back, just indicate, okay, I guess you are back. I think we've lost Pastor Gladys. What she was trying to say, please indicate when you come back, so that you can take the stage again. There is a bit of challenge on the network there. So the issue of getting, a man to open up sometimes can really be a challenge. This is why when you are communicating, I think it is important to really find out what it is that is causing him to be quiet on you. Why is he not sharing certain things? Some of the men are just shy. Some of them, it is just that they can't trust you with so much. Probably there is some information that they are keeping to themselves that you've got to learn how to really be strategic in probing, in the way you are going to probe for him to open up. Because if you get into marriage with a man that you cannot actually help to extract some, information out of his mind, it will be a challenge in your communication. Yes, I see Pastor Gladys is back. Please take it up.
All right, sorry about that. So I've got some what I hope will keep us going. Yeah, so like I was saying that a woman does carry, when you think about it, for function, women tend to be very much like the Holy Spirit, comforter, teacher, guide, intercessor, and all of these things, while the man for function carries some attributes of God the Father for function, right? And I say all of that in order to say that if you allow yourself to function according to how God created you, you will realize that these are things that our mothers did so easily for years and years. One of the reasons why people are so sensitive about their mothers is because we have a way of occupying space without you being able to oh, she did this. Yes, you might be able to point out certain things, but I just want to say that there is a way that a woman can occupy space in a man's heart. That's why Proverbs 31 verse 11 says, heart of her husband safely trusts her. So this woman is able to find an anchoring in his heart. And let me tell you that if you want people to do exploits, if you want a man to be able to do beyond, you have to create trust and safety for him. This is why he's going to trust his mom. He's going to go to his mom for advice. And so you, because I like I said, I think that you are seeing this man's potential. I think that you are seeing perhaps a certain aspects of him that need to be developed, and you know how to build him up. And I think that in terms of step 1, 2, and 3, that can be a discussion for another day. But for now, just begin to think about, how you can build him up into the man that God has called him to be.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. We straight away go to the next question of a single mom. I have 2 to 3 children. I'm a single mom. I have never been married. Do I still have hope to be married? Do I still have a chance for a man to look out for me? I don't know what marriage is. I've gotten children outside wedlock. Am I worth for marriage?
Okay. So God's plan for you as far as marriage is concerned is not going to be limited to your past, what you've been through, what you've experienced. It has to do with the choices that you make in the present day. So, what decisions are you making to make yourself a fruitful vine? And it's not about, I mean, yes, there are those on the surface type of things, how you look, taking care of yourself and things like that. But I really just want to say that if you had to kind of take, okay, because I'm going to say 2 things here. If you took everything you think is a hindrance to you being married, whether it's your age, whether it is that you have children and maybe fathered by different men, if you took that and you put us, have you built capacity for marriage? Is there room for a man to come into your life? Because this issue of capacity is something that a lot of people don't realize, that it gets you to miss what could even be present for you, right? So there are people today who say, oh, I want to get a job, right? They want to get this job, they get the job, they get the promotion. Then they start complaining about the job. Why? Because they didn't build capacity. So I just want to use that example to show you how important it is. So put your age, the children aside. and ask and answer this question: is there capacity? Like, and what does capacity look like? It looks like, are you ready to be married today? Have you made the necessary spiritual growth? Have you understood God's plan for marriage? Have you created? Do you have a lifestyle that can accommodate a marriage covenant? Okay, and so on. And then the other part of this discussion is to say, then I want you to now bring back the circumstances. What are your circumstances? Age, children. Then I want you to be able to say, okay, what does this mean that I have these children? Not just one child, I have two children. Okay, maybe at some point I'm going to have this conversation around what happened to these relationships. I am possibly going to have to answer to my integrity. And ladies, I wanted to say this because, sometimes we get into this space where we're like, we don't allow ourselves to face consequences. And I hope this is not going to sound high, because when I say consequences, I'm not saying punishment. I'm saying consequences. I'm saying that for anything that happens, there is going to be a reaction or a response to it. And I think that if you take this situation, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean for me now? And negotiate with yourself, first of all, concerning what you want for your children when it comes to marriage for you, what you want for marriage, and how your children are going to be positioned when it comes to marriage. What will it mean for you concerning your age? What are you looking for? Because you have to learn how to negotiate with yourself, because by the time somebody comes into your life and they're asking you, what about this? What about this child? What about your age? You haven't even negotiated with yourself, so you have no idea. So you don't know who it is that needs to be in your life, because this one came and said, no, there are too many children. That one came and said, no, you're too old. That one came and said, no, the children are too young. And you settle certain things with yourself, because remember also the age factor means that what you wanted the first time you were thinking about having a boy in your life, a man in your life, maybe you were like in your 20s, you're in your late teens, you have evolved as a woman, you have transitioned so much that do you even know what your current needs are as a 36, a 38-year-old woman? 37-year-old woman, do you know what you need? Because let me tell you, if God sends someone my way, I'm not going to go back to my old notebook from high school, from university. I'm not even going to go to a notebook in my 20s, because at this age, approaching 50, my needs are different. My purpose needs a level of partnership that I must be aware of, so that I'm able to recognize it. Okay? So the answer is, it is possible. You have to believe it first. And it doesn't mean, I'm not asking you to get hyped up about it. I'm asking you to believe it, create structure, create capacity, negotiate with yourself, and step out into this world with a level of clarity concerning your future.
Wow. Wow, that sounds like a book. That sounds like a book. Before I
Yeah.
get to very difficult questions in marriage, I want you
Yeah.
to answer one more question for the singles. Then we are going to delve into the very, very hurting things for the marrieds. There's a question: dating for 7 years. He is not, one moment it seems like he's there, we're going to get married, but he's not just saying it. Everything about him is good. 7 years dating. What should I do?
Wow, it's so complex. Look, I don't know, Doc. What do you think? Because I would say, like, you've got to have certain boundaries for yourself, right? To say for how long do you prolong certain things? Because you see, the thing about being a child of God is that everything in your hand must grow. So it has to develop into something, So the fact that you are in the same place for me and the relationship is not maturing, I think it's a cause for concern. I really don't want to tell you what to do. I feel like you need to have a mentor, a pastor, you need a guide, you need somebody who can sit down with you and interrogate your specific situation. Who is this guy answerable to? Is he going to get advice? Is he going to get direction? Because you can't stay in limbo. So I really don't have an answer for you in terms of what you should do, apart from just saying, I think get guidance. But really interested to hear, Doc, what your views are as well on that.
Oh, that's what me. I'm telling you the truth. You have to exit. You have to exit. 7 years is a long time for you to
That's a
wait for
doctorate.
something
That's a
uncertainty.
PhD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are nicer in your answer. For me, 7 years, it's you are just yeah, it's just, especially if you are taking all the wifey roles,
Right?
for 7 years you are cooking, you are having sex with him, and certain things the way they are happening, oh, that's why he's not marrying you. So you've got to cut off certain wifey roles, and if
Yeah.
he's not saying it, exit. It can
Yeah.
be nice. 7 years is a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's something that just popped up. For the
Mhm.
singles, they are begging that you must answer this. He is 5, 10 years younger than me, and he loves me. He wants to marry me. He's young. Should I still go ahead?
Okay, because they there are people who could be 5, 10 years older than you and very immature. So I would say I'm looking for the level of maturity. Does this person have the capacity to be able to be a husband? Has he reached the necessary milestones in his life that will allow him to look after you and a family as well? Because after all's been said and done, he has that responsibility, even if you're helping to a larger extent. But then again, has he matured well enough for you to be able to enter into a marriage with him?
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. That's lovely. Okay, let's go to the marrieds. Let's go to the marrieds. And the first question on the marrieds is, he has cheated twice. First time, I forgave him. He apologized and we moved on. He cheated again. I am failing to forgive him. We can't even make love. What should I do?
Yeah. So my question would be, when the cheating happened, what action was taken? Because anything you don't attend to doesn't go away. These are the things that you bury alive. And I can
Mm-hmm.
assure you that even if he hadn't cheated a second time, if you didn't deal with that first cheating, something would be influencing your relationship today. So what did you do about it? And if you can give a response to that, maybe we can try and narrow in on it. Because you see, essentially, when somebody cheats, for example, because what we are seeing there of a cheating person is we are seeing their behavior. The reason
Mm.
that you sit with a counselor, is because you now need a level of expertise that will draw you now to the source, right? So the behavior is the cheating, but where is this really coming from? Is it a situation where this guy has a poor self-image? Are you dealing with generational patterns and tendencies? Is it down to peer pressure? What is it exactly? So you need a level of skill and expertise, because I feel like once things are addressed right from the source, eventually the behavior changes. And I mean, I've seen people who, they did the right thing about, a sin. They addressed it in the manner that they should, and getting the help that they should, and they then became their strength. So now you hear this person saying, you know, I don't even look at women a second time, and then they have a story behind it, you know, of where things were dealt with. So I hope that you've been able to get help, particularly for where you are now. And I think that is going to be a solution.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. I think like you said, it's
Uh-oh.
like you mentioned, it's always good to seek for help, okay, to
Yeah.
seek for a mentor to help you on how you will navigate. From the look of things, I think the first cheating was not properly dealt with,
Yeah.
and because
Oh, my. Okay.
we can deal with it even off camera. If you're listening to us right now, please do get in touch with me. I'll be able to get you aligned with Pastor Paswani so that probably you can be assisted a little more than just what we have answered right now, because I think there are different questions and different issues that we would really, really love to understand where you are at and what is really happening. Because when it comes to the issue of cheating, to really get to heal, it takes a lot, and you will need a journey. Like I always share, tomorrow I'll be touching some of these things. So please, you need to show up. I'll be getting deeper into the issues of how to deal with infidelity. So please, you need to show up tomorrow. That's why we put up 2 days so that we can um, delve deep into some of the questions that you are asking, and therefore it will be important to do justice even tomorrow. Pastor Gladys, there is a question here. I earn more than my husband, and I'm just failing to I'm just failing to balance it with submission because I'm doing too much. I'm doing a lot of things at home, and then he doesn't even seem to appreciate, he doesn't seem to even show me love. But I'm the breadwinner. The woman is the breadwinner, and the man doesn't seem, she doesn't feel loved by the husband. And so the whole setup, should she still submit?
um, wow. Okay, so you could have been making more than you, right? You have been the breadwinner. And
Pastor Gladys, your your mic is not okay. Can we go off video to see if we can maximize? Because I think your answer is very important. Maybe we go off video and see if we can maximize.
okay, I'm in the. Hi, Doc. Are you able to hear me?
Perfect, perfect.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. So what I was saying is that I think that many times when something goes wrong within relationships, right? Because you've pointed out a number of different aspects. There's the issue of you really carrying the financial load for the family. There is the issue of you questioning submission. I know it might seem attached, but all of these issues could stand on their own. There's this man who's not carrying his weight. He's even not maybe appreciating your efforts and things like that, because let's be honest, relationships will go through different seasons, but you expect in a season where maybe the husband is not able to do so well, he should be supporting his wife, cheering you on and the like, which I'm really hearing you saying that is missing. What I do want to suggest is the fact that perhaps you may want to, and I know I keep going back to the issue of getting counseling, because it's so important for you to, to dissect a situation and deal with these issues separately. Okay, because again, what is it that he might need help with in terms of him carrying his weight? That needs to be dealt with, even if he was super loving, even if he was being so encouraging towards you, right? So that has to be dealt with. And I really just want to say that perhaps, being in a space where you can reach out for help, get the counseling, because what's going to happen is that everything that is wrong begins to give birth to another problem and another problem and another problem, right? So it's very critical that you break the issue. So I call it separating your issues. So if you were sitting with me, I would say, okay, you know what, I didn't get your name, but I would say to you, know what, my sister, my daughter, let's have a discussion on submission. And then my goal is to help you understand the aspect of submission. What really is submission? What does submission really mean? Because I can tell you for a fact that if we expose submission for what it truly is, submission is the thing that provokes a man to have to perform. It's like, so if I use this example, right? So if you are wanting to trigger electricity in the house, the goal is you want to make sure that the lights in the house go on. All of those cables that carry power have to be submitted in order for that power to be channeled correctly. Now, I always say that a woman is like that. That's why I talked about the Holy Spirit, right? The Holy Spirit, the power of God, right? So if that power is channeled, so if you open your meter box at home, there's going to be so much order. In fact, the wires will be laid out, color coded. You see the direction that they are going. They are insulated, because power that is out of control has a way of destroying things. Do you know that as a woman, you don't even have to say something to a man? Even just an expression can tear him down. Why? Because you carry that much authority. So God knows the amount of authority that we carry, and that's why we submit. We don't submit because we are weak. Submission is not to say that, you are this big, powerful man, so I'm going to be the weaker one coming under you. Submission means I'm going to release power. But in order for me to release that power, there is something God is requiring of us. It's a posture. And now imagine if we go back to the electricity example, if all those cables are carrying power and the switch doesn't go on, it puts a burden on the switch because it's receiving power and it's supposed to just go on. So what I've realized is that women who are able to submit, they challenge their husbands to perform. I can give you so many examples. We can break this down in so many ways, but I don't really want to belabor that point. So think about what submission looks like for you. And I know that at this this man, take everything that's good about me, everything that's strong about me, pour it into this man. What if he doesn't respond? If he doesn't respond, it separates lack of submission from lack of performance. Because you know what? When one thing isn't being done right, it mixes everything up. Do you know that if you put everything in its right order, we will be able to see where the problem is coming from? But if everything is a mess, it's so hard to make progress on issues. So I'm just going to leave it there, and I'm hoping that there's something that you can run with, or that maybe you can, begin to consider. But again, I want to say, get some help.
Oh,
And
wow.
Doc is back,
Beautiful.
so.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. But before I let you go, I just want you to speak to the audience, whatever is on your heart. We have different people have gathered today. We have single ladies who are single. We have ladies who have children outside wedlock, and they are here hoping, to get some insights in our conversation. We have married women. Some of them yeah, they are just in the marriage, just not to want to divorce, but maybe marriage is almost dead. So we have a mixture of women gathered in this room. What is in your heart? I just want to give you few minutes, whatever minutes that you can take. I mean, we are home. If you can take even extra 10 minutes, just I want you to speak your heart to everyone
Mhm,
who's gathered, because I won't have you tomorrow. So please just open your
mhm,
heart and share to
mhm,
every aspect of woman's life right now.
mhm. All right. Wow, so many directions I could take this. What's really sitting on my heart right now is to say, ladies, you know what? Don't settle. Please don't settle, even if settling looks like living a counterfeit life. And the reason I say this is because, when people talk about, you know what, I'm not settling, I'm going to, go out there, I'm going to be this, power woman, and I'm going to grow my business, I'm going to, do great things. Many times we settle for the counterfeit, where we just do stuff that looks good, when within ourselves there is so much turmoil, there's restlessness, there's an emptiness. One of the things I love about growing older is finding that anchor of peace. I really want you to step aside from all the suggestions that the world offers you concerning, what everything that it means to be a woman in this century, what it means to be this powerhouse and all of that. Just step back a little bit from that and give the word of God a chance. I want you to get really curious about what is it that God said about you. I promise you, this may sound very theological, but like I told you, and I'm just saying this just to help you see how real it is. Like I said to you, I I was a late bloomer in my profession, and sitting with doctors, professors, and sitting on national duties and things like that. I just today just came in from Uganda, where we had all this interface with very high level officials. And for the longest time, I would just feel like, what am I doing here? Until I realized that actually what brought me to the table is what God gave me. You know, God gave me the ability to be able to open up perspectives to people. I can show you that the way you're looking at your situation is not the only part of your situation that exists, right? They say there are two sides to every coin. I can show you so many, such broad perspectives that you can decide which path you want to go on to be able to achieve the fullness that God has for you. You know what? I am using this God given gift in my professional life. We sit there trying to come up with global health solutions. And I'm using that same gift. I hope you hear what I'm saying to you, ladies. You have to find that. Find that the reason for your existence. Find what God put in you. Embrace it, and then let that be the offering to yourself, but even to the world that is around you, because that's what's going to take away the restlessness from you. I will close by saying this, that you see, right now we are living in a dispensation of power, particularly for women, because you'll notice that there are a lot of spiritual things happening now. Even if you have people who watch these games, who play video games, they carry a spiritual tone. There is a lot of talk around meditations and self, that level of tuning in, and there's energy that people are talking about, energy and spiritual forces. Basically, there's such a consciousness now that there's more to man than what we see. And so the reason I'm saying this is for you to understand that what that will probably start to show us is that when it comes to women, women are now also becoming conscious of their power. So women's voices are more projected now. And we know that as women, as we begin to speak, we sound like an advocate, because the Holy Spirit is an advocate. So, you can bring a case and break it down to your husband, and then on this day you said this, and then you said that, and then you know what I mean? The guy can't even really articulate himself concerning this issue, but you can break it down to the point where he's just like, okay, you know what, I'm just going to keep quiet. We have that opportunity to make money. Look at women's village bankings are doing better. There are career opportunities, growth opportunities for women. Women are coming into themselves. The issue is that if you do not know what to do with your power, it will destroy you. So, going back to what I said earlier on, find the reason for your existence, channel your power there, and I can assure you that you will become irreplaceable in your home, in your profession, in your ministry, in your career, because now you have released the power of God that is available to you in the area that God gave you to solve problems. Otherwise, before you know it, you'll be out there arguing with this one, and you're so drained, and you're fighting with that one, and then you're teaching this one a lesson, and then now you're going to do this. So that power must be preserved. So my encouragement to you, wherever you are, whatever season, don't settle. Don't settle. In my season of waiting, whatever it is God has in my future, today I'm not settling. Today I'm living the fullness of my life. What does it mean for me to be a single woman in this season? I can go to the uttermost parts of the earth and do as much as I need to without worrying about, who's going to make sure the socks are folded? Who's going to, what about this? What about that? And we have these debates about what is better. Nothing is better. Your season is better. It's if I transition into another season, then I will give my everything to it. I will not settle as a wife. I will not settle as a single woman. I will not settle in whatever season I'm in. So, ladies, do not settle. And God bless you.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. I wish we can extend to an hour. Wow, wow, wow. Can we give it up for Pastor Gladys? I'm just thinking, I think we may just have to do some retreat and sit
Yes,
in some
yes.
place. Yeah, sit in some place where our wounds can heal, where we can actually take these questions a little deep, these answers a little deeper, and practically, get most of our audience to experience what we're talking about. So something is just bubbling in my spirit. I think when we have our debt, our long-awaited debt, we will plan something that we just have to reach out to the hearts, because if you look at the comments, people have really just been blessed. So I'm going to sit with you. We need to be in some place with
Yes.
the ladies and just Yanzika and Pasa and sit there to just have these conversations, heart to heart conversations. Thank you so much for pouring your heart, for being vulnerable, to the audience. And there are some men actually who joined our conversation.
Mm,
So sorry we didn't deal with a lot of issues because you men, you didn't ask your questions. So please,
right.
tomorrow, you send in your questions because I'm coming on tomorrow, same time at 7 p.m. to come and just pick it up from where Pastor Gladys has ended and just highlight some of the other things that we haven't yet tackled. I have almost 16 questions we haven't even tackled. So please do send in your questions. Send in your questions. And tomorrow, if it will mean me taking 3 hours until we finish the questions, so shall it be.
Wonderful.
So thank you so much because we promised to keep you for an
Thanks,
hour.
Steph.
Thank you. Thank you. God
Thank you
bless you.
so,
Thank you,
so
Pastor
much.
Gladys.
Thank you.
Shalom,
All
shalom.
right. Good night. Shalom.